Whitney Price, and I would like to welcome you to our Difference Maker video series brought to you by Excavation Safety Alliance. This video will talk about Locator Safety and Appreciation Week, or LSAW, and how it came to be. For today's discussion, I'd like to introduce Michele Moe, Scott Landis, and Ron Peterson. Before we get started, let's get a little background on each of you, and Scott, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, thanks, Whitney. Yeah, this is fun. Well, I actually have been in the damage prevention industry since 1982. So right out of like high school. No, I'm kidding on that part. But yep, since 1982. And in 1990, I started Rhino, and kind of the tie-in there is real early in the Rhino days. I took a 2-day locator training class, and I vividly remember at the time thinking, how in the world could we spend 2 whole days learning about locating? It can't be that complicated. And after the 2 days, I realized I have no idea what they were teaching me. This is really hard. So I gained a lot of appreciation for locators real early. And then in 2003, I started Infrastructure Resources. And so I got even more involved with locators through the DP Pro magazine and our excavation safety conference, which we started in 2006. So dealing with authors and speakers and exhibitors, all facets of locating. And then kind of lastly, in terms of my locating knowledge or experiences, I was also the co-chair of the CGA Education Committee for 4 years. And so then you really got to see from all stakeholders' points of view how critical locators are to the damage prevention process.
Perfect. How about you, Ron?
Okay, thanks, Whitney. I've been involved with locating and construction for over 30 years. I've been directly involved in the industry for just over 27 years. I am currently the executive director of NOLCA. I've been that for now going on my 12th year. NOLCA is National Utility Locating Contractors Association. I've also been the claims avoidance provider for NUCA, National Utility Contractors Association, since 2007. So along the way, I've worked for contract locators, started 2 private locate companies, been an excavator. So I've been fortunate to be all around this, and to this day I still train damage prevention and utility locating. So
good deal. Michele?
Hi, Whitney. Thanks for inviting me. I've been involved in the damage prevention industry for over 9 years. As editor-in-chief for Infrastructure Resources, I've been very engaged in learning about the locate industry, both through our publications and through the locator textbook that we have published. Over the years I've been in the industry, I've gained a great deal of respect for locators and the work that they do to keep us all safe. So I'm really happy to be able to share the message about Locator Safety and Appreciation Week.
Perfect. All right, so to kind of set the stage, we'll start with you, Scott. What is Locator Safety and Appreciation Week, and why was it created back in 2014?
Yeah, great question, Whitney. Well, it kind of came about me working with, people like Ron and other experts with our articles and sessions and workshops, really learning about the complexity of locating, and then kind of some of Ron's damage investigation teaching too, looking at frequently where the blame gets placed and things like that. And so we learned a lot about it. And then, spending 15 years plus, working with the CGA, it became obvious that while a lot of people, kind of the inner circle of damage prevention, all those people really get how critical the role is that locators play in damage prevention. But, past that group, I don't think the average stakeholder understands how critical locating is. And if that's not done right, everything else doesn't really matter very much. So I kind of tied that along with seeing, how effective the CGA's National Safe Digging Month kind of became at getting all the stakeholders in the country focused on public awareness during the month of April, and seemed like a real effective way. They did a great job with it. And so my idea was to take 1 week out of that National Safe Digging Month and really try and get people to focus on the locator safety and appreciating locators during that week. And so we decided through all of our media that we would take this on, create Locator Safety and Appreciation Week. And so we created a ton of graphics and things like that. So immediately then, once we decided we were going to go forward with that, I thought, well, obviously I need to get in touch with Nolka and Ron, because nobody knows more about locators or understands their critical value than Nolka. So at that point, I reached out to Ron to see if Nolka wanted to endorse LSAW.
I agree with everything Scott just said about that. But in addition to that, one of the things that really drew us to LSAW was the ability to give locators and locating technicians publicity in the positive. Typically, when you hear about locating, you hear about problems, mislocates, failure to locate. It's always in the negative, but this gives us the opportunity to promote locating and show our appreciation for the industry.
And that kind of leads me into my next question. So, Ron, can you give a little background about some of the recent locator deaths that can maybe shed a little light on why locator safety is so important and why NELCA has worked with infrastructure resources on this initiative the last few years?
Absolutely. And, we're very fortunate with the, at least 20,000 plus, and that's just contract locating technicians out there, that we've been fairly safe. But, one of the things that seems common within locator deaths or serious injuries is vehicles. A good part of a locator's day is spent in a vehicle. So you have crashes and potential problems there. But then when you're out actually locating, the problem is you're focused on the machine and what you're trying to do. So there are many cases where locators have stepped out in traffic between cars and been hit. We've had a couple of recent deaths that way. There's some other critical things that locators do that, while they're not all that common, we need to keep the focus on that. One is confined space entry, manholes. Typically those, they don't happen all that often, but it's not a situation where you're going to be injured and talk about it. When you die in a manhole because of asphyxiation or gases, there's no coming back. So, those are just a few. Also, the common injuries are slip, trip, and falls because we're out on job sites. So we want to shine, some light on that as well.
Great. And now, so Scott and Ron kind of talked about some of the information that LSAW covers. Michele, can you shed a little light on some other safety information that LSAW works on to kind of help protect and bring awareness to the locating community?
Yeah, LSAW really focuses on those top locator hazards. Ron referred to a few of them, and we have quite a few different resources in our toolkit that's available at locatorsafety.com. And those resources include everything from social media posts, suggested social media posts, web buttons, downloadable posters and greeting cards. We also have access to multiple articles that are written to help keep locators safe by industry experts who are really working to keep our locators safe, keep them coming home to their families at the end of the day. You can access all of those articles through the Locator website or at dppro.com.
Okay. And so there's a lot of free resources you mentioned out there, and that's locatorsafety.com. I know you can also find a lot of these resources within the Excavation Safety Alliance as well. So are any of you three seeing companies that are taking part in this initiative with some of their own creative ideas, maybe some that they've used from locatorsafety.com and they've kind of branched out and done their own thing as well?
Yeah, there's a ton of it going on, and probably one of the biggest challenges is actually finding out about it so that we can then publicize it and give other people the ideas. But a couple examples I know of firsthand is like Georgia 811, kind of immediately jumped in and took all the graphics and used them on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and on their website. And then they also included it in their stakeholder newsletter. And back a few years when the 811 balloon was floating around, pardon the pun, they had a special event with the balloon during LSAW, and so that helped really give it some other publicity. And I know one of the tools that we have there for free to download is the 10 tips safety poster, which is a real fun poster, one of those caricature type posters. And so wearing my Rhino hat, we actually created a whole bunch of those and printed them like signs and sent them out to a lot of locators just to, support their efforts and put those messages in front of them. And kind of the last thing I think of offhand is Enterprise Products has done a great job. Again, they jumped in year one back in 2014, and they take one of the safety tips and use it every day during LSAW as part of their safety moments throughout the whole company. So they've been really actively promoting it.
A couple other examples that I can think of is USIC has run a picture contest where they've asked locators to take pictures of dangerous situations, and they had a contest during LSAW for their locators. And we've had a host of participants who've said that they do things like holding appreciation lunches or events for their locators just to give back to them and let them know that they're appreciated by the company that employs them.
Yeah, and I've seen, most of our contract locating companies are taking advantage of the week to do exactly what you guys have said, and really putting the spotlight back on the locator. I can also think of a couple of my private locate companies, which is a little bit different scenario, but Bloodhound, for example, they do a technician spotlight. And I think one of the cool things is now that you're seeing these companies not only do it within the week, but they're carrying it throughout the year to highlight when their technicians are going above and beyond. So I think that's one of the great things that has come out of the start of LSAW.
Perfect. And like you mentioned, it happens kind of throughout the year, which I think is the most important. But is there a specific time during the year that LSAW kind of has a really big push?
Well, we like to get the message out on LSAW through our publications in February and March, because it's always the last full week of April. We want to make sure that we're reminding people that it's coming up so that they can take some time and really plan on how they can use that week to effectively train and show appreciation for their locators.
So thank you all for your time today. And for those watching, if you'd like to show your appreciation and get involved, you can check out the free safety tools offered within Excavation Safety Alliance or at locatorsafety.com.
Big thank you to all the locators who are out there working hard every day to keep our community safe.
I would like to say thank you to the locators for the work that they do.
I'd like to thank all the locators and designators out there who help make our country safe.
The line locates, the work that the locators do is by far one of the most important things that we do out there.
It really makes a difference in whether or not, working around the public, you folks truly have our best interest in mind. Again, thank you.
The locators are the soul of locating the underground infrastructure. Without them, the damage would be astronomical.
It's a job that is demanding. It's under a tight time schedule. Sometimes it seems like everyone is yelling at you. You don't get thanked for the thousands and thousands of times that you perform that job effectively, safely, and on time. And if nobody else says it, let me thank you so much for the work you do.